Convert to Table, Accessibility and Practice, Colorado Department of Labor and Employment. Next, we're going to talk about converting our data to tables. In my example Google Sheet, I have a table called Annual Minimum Wage. It has 4 columns, minimum wage in 2024, 2023, and 2022. And it has 5 rows. The header row, and I just explained those headers for my columns, and then 4 rows, which include Colorado, Denver, Edgewater, and Boulder County. In order to make sure that screen reader users and assistive technology users know where exactly on my sheet my table is located and the exact number of rows and columns exist, and in addition, which of those rows and columns are my headers, it's important that I convert my table to a table in Google Sheet. To do this, I'm going to select only my data, rows, and columns. So I'm not going to select my title or my notes. So I'm going to first select my minimum wage in, which is in my A2 cell. I'm going to go across to my last cell, which is D2, and then I'm going to, holding down my mouse, select the rest of my table across A6 and D6. Now I'm going to go to Format, and I'm going to select Convert to Table. I could also use Control-Alt-T on my keyboard instead. Now automatically, I'm going to have a formatted table. You'll notice the formatting of this table has changed. I have a couple of things that are different. One is the text on my table is now Roboto 10. And I also have a built-in title, which is now a placeholder called Table 1. I also have my headers, minimum wage in 2024, 2023, and 2022, are all identified, and they're in a different color. They're in dark green and white text, which is accessible. Good color contrast, Google. And then the rest of my table rows and data are in a different color, also good contrast, black text on white background. It's all contained within a bounding box. And I know now that my table has been formatted. I mentioned before I have not yet included my table name, Annual Minimum Wage. In the table name box, which currently has a placeholder called Table 1, I'm going to select this text and replace it with my table name, Annual Minimum Wage, and select Enter. Now my table is sufficiently named, so all users can navigate to my table. They can tell my tables apart, especially if they're on the same sheet, and they know all of my headings in my table and which rows are involved in my table. Wonderful! I have now converted my table to a formatted table so that users can ignore the rest of my sheet and know that this is the correct piece. These 4 rows and 5 columns are my table. The rest of the sheet of all 26 columns and 1,000 rows that Google has in there is to be ignored, because all that they need to look at right now are these 4 columns and 5 rows. Fantastic. Find more videos on our YouTube channel at CDLE_DLSS.